This is not the first time that these two presidents have spoken recently. They did so just 3 weeks ago, and there wasn't necessarily a tangible outcome of those talks. Do we expect something different today?
Well, I don't know that we expect something different, but clearly Vladimir Putin wants to talk to Joe Biden personally about assurances over NATO. I think that is the key for the Russians. And on the Biden side, he basically has to do no harm.
Right. So, and it seems, obviously the president has put economic sanctions on the table, but is use of force just something that's not even in the cards?
I don't think the use of force on the part of the United States is in the game here. But what I think Vladimir Putin may try to do is to create a split among the NATO allies. That is the key for him. And anything he can do to sort of sow dissent among the NATO participants, he will try to do.
What is Putin's ultimate aim here? We've had a lot of really great Bloomberg opinion pieces over the last few weeks because of the anniversary of the breakup of the USSR. Is he trying to enlarge the territory of Russia?
Well, that's sort of the conventional wisdom that, yes, Vladimir Putin would very much like to see a return of the dominance that it had, 2 decades ago. I don't think that that's really a practical outcome for his actions, but he does want to keep the West off balance, and he's a master at it. He has an outsized influence on the political happenings in Europe, given the size of his economy and his military.
And his energy supplies. Here in the West, we kind of frame Nord Stream 2 as leverage that maybe Germany has against Russia, but it really feels like Russia has all the leverage here since we're dependent on the gas.
Yeah, and with record natural gas prices spinning through Europe, and the gas supplies that Russia holds are key to keeping Europe on an even keel. So I would say that definitely Putin has the distinct advantage on the energy side. But at the same time, he needs those dollars that he gets from those energy exports to keep his economy flowing. So it works both ways, Matt.
How much does the Biden administration have to think about other adversaries when dealing with Russia, in that you have Russia and territorial issues kind of over Ukraine, and you also look at an adversary like China and the South China Sea? Yeah,
Taiwan is a really big issue. That's still something that the Biden administration has received some criticism over, that there doesn't seem to be a cohesive foreign policy with China and with Russia. And then there's also Iran, which is getting closer and closer to a nuclear weapon, and he has to deal with that as well.
Well, in talking about cohesion and foreign policy, the president campaigned on bringing America back to the table on a global stage. Is there a sense that he really has had success in doing so almost 1 year into his presidency?
I think it's been spotty. We all remember the snafu over the submarine in Australia that ticked off our French allies so much. That was not a good step forward, and he has to sort of recapture the high ground in terms of foreign policy. This may be a chance for him to do it, but we'll see. I mean, after these discussions, you usually get readouts from both sides. Russia usually reads out before the U.S., so this may be just a battle of, interpretation of what actually happens on this call.
Right. Well, and we can't forget about the disastrous withdrawal of U.S. troops from Afghanistan either, leaving so many allies there stranded. In terms of his domestic agenda, he's had some stumbling blocks as well. President Biden assured us that with his, 37 years experience as a parliamentarian, he would be able to snake his way through this difficult maze. It doesn't look so good now, Marty, but can we expect a Build Back Better package at the beginning of next year?
Well, I mean, if you listen to Vice President Harris and others, they are still determined to get some sort of Build Back Better bill through Congress. And it is still possible. It probably will be scaled back. And, Bloomberg Opinion had a column the other day that said that Mitt Romney may actually be a key person in this debate. He advanced a bill to make the child credit permanent, which was supported by both sides, some in the GOP and the Democrats. So maybe that's an avenue they should explore to try and get something through.
I always think of the line from the Clinton campaign, it's the economy, stupid. I can't remember if that was Jimmy Carville or his wife, Mary Matlin. But the economy is still humming along, Marty. You know, it's interesting because we talk with Mohammed Yunus from Gallup, and he points out that Congress and the president's ratings are bouncing along lows here. But as long as things are going well, how are they shaping up? How is their shot at success shaping up for the midterms?
Well, you know, I still think that if you look at the polling, inflation is certainly one of the key things on people's minds. Even if the economy is humming and the stock market is at near records, they're not associating that with Joe Biden. His poll numbers are pretty bad. Of course, it depends on what's going on this summer in terms of the midterms. But right now, it's not looking good for the Democrats.